What's up, everyone? This is Soul with another video, and today I just wanted to sit down with the folks up in chat. I don't have them displayed there, but I just wanted to sit down with them, hang out, and talk about things that might happen at this coming BlizzCon. Because things are being lined up in such a way that there could be like some really just mind-blowing huge ideas that might come to fruition in WoW's 11.0, its 10th expansion, as we celebrate 30 something years of Warcraft, 20 years of the world of Warcraft, and it could be anything. And so I wanted to sit down with folks and get some ideas out and try to stick to the whole positiveness of, dude, you know, it'd be really cool. I'm trying to come at this with the energy of we're all just kind of sitting around, we're having snacks, we're having some drinks or whatever. And then, each of us are like going around, doing a round table being like, dude, it'd be cool. It'd be hella cool. And then people be, around and be like, oh, dude, that'd be so dope. Without throwing a wet towel on things and being like, no, this is why it's like technically not feasible. We're not going to do that much. All right. So I wanted to just stick with like some exciting ideas, things that people want that, with WoW reaching 20 years old, maybe the WoW team can be like, screw it. Let's just do it. Let's make this thing happen because F it. Like the video, subscribe for more content, and definitely share your own ideas too. Kind of the rule that I wanted to present to myself was to not say no to things. It's hard to do that, but I wanted to just kind of, again, focus on like the cool of stuff. And I have like 20 some odd ideas, so strap in, get ready. First off is obviously player housing and or guild housing. With so much of the world of Warcraft to celebrate and so much, such a long journey that we've gone through, there's got to be more than just the achievement UI to celebrate the things that we have done in the past. If there is a great new way to express what we've done outside of just, again, the achievement UI or transmog or like the pets or the mount that we're on, if we can return to a place, go to a place that is our own, whether it's our player house or our guild house or whatever, and then we can show off either for ourselves, most importantly for ourselves, but also to others, dude, this is what we've done. This is where I started, and now we're here. So, and I'll leave that at that. Next, we have a big old world revamp. Now, this could be like a cataclysm style thing where a bunch of the world is being reshaped. And I know that there's some misgivings because we've just gotten like some dragon racing stuff that's been put in. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the entire world is like reshaped and shifted around or anything like that. And of course, they could always change the dragon races to suit whatever new thing comes. But it doesn't have to be an entire revamp either. It can be simply a reskin. After doing some of this dragon racing that we'll be doing in all the different continents, I'm sure that there's going to be more than one occasion where we like stop the race and we're just kind of looking around. We'll be like, wow, this world looks really janky, doesn't it? But it would look really cool if it was like up-resed or just kind of redone in such a way that, the gameplay doesn't really change. It just looks and feels a little bit different. So maybe it doesn't need to be like super crazy scope, with like, okay, we're going to have new quests in this area too. And, new max level experience in these old zones, but it could be too. And so I'd love to see something at that level, like something like this, I'm sure would make the crowd go, oh my God, yes, it's happening. Something like that. Next, we got WoW on console or virtual reality. God, virtual reality. Okay, I don't really see that, but I just put it in anyway because, why not? Sure. But WoW on console, it's feasible because it's feasible. We have more and more unofficial support that's coming. Add-ons are supporting it. The WoW API is supporting it a little bit more. And there have been statements from the WoW team that have said, no, it's not going to happen. But they've lied before, or they've misdirected us before. They've made things to become surprises in the past. And so far they have been very adamant about saying it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But we are seeing the game slowly slide towards that as well. More support is being added. Controllers are getting crazier and all that. And so it wouldn't surprise me if WoW's 20th anniversary, they take this old game and they want to expand it in, they want to put it into more players' hands something like that would be possible. Something I didn't list here is putting WoW on Steam as well. Again, while that would lure over a lot of like downvotes and whatever because of how the game has become and the shop and all that stuff, putting giving more opportunities to put the game in more people's hands would be wild. Also not listed here, WoW going free to play. I don't know if that would bring the same amount of excitement for me personally, but it would be a huge, huge move. And I would hope that if it were to go free to play, that would be something that's a bit more tasteful. That for the most part, players who just want to like jump in and do it. I'm hoping that it would be like bot friendly, as in bot unfriendly. That would be things that come to mind, but lots of little ideas there. Dying gear. We've heard from the past that, hey, gear dies. That's not how it works here. But that was a while ago. And for all we know, the technology they might be developing that sort of stuff in the background to where maybe not current gear, but gear going forward will be able to utilize this new gear dying system. And that could be a thing. It'd be really unfortunate if we didn't have the previous 20 years worth of WoW not have this die ability. But it'd be cool if it was added at some point. But most importantly, I'd say if it's added for future gear, I think I'd really appreciate that. But just more appearances. Wearing all the Mog, and by that I mean lifting those pesky requirements of armor type. So hey, if a paladin wants to wear priest stuff, sure. If a priest wants to wear paladin stuff, it looks fine because, to be honest, we probably won't be able to tell the difference anymore anyway. I think we've seen that, apart from maybe robes and such, a lot of the gear has just gotten like crazy. People can already have share all these different sorts of looks, and so I feel like just having these armor restrictions is unneeded. Now I've talked about this in the past, and I'm still going to draw the line at class specific sets. Those things I think that ought to be retained to retain a sort of class identity, but armor type identity, I don't think that's like a very viable thing these days. So screw it. Let's just let people wear all the Mog. Weapons will be a much bigger challenge. I would support it, but I know like things like weapon animations and whatnot. I think I would prefer it to not look janky, but preferably I would like new weapon animations to support being able to transmog to whatever we want to, because that'd be dope. No more. Okay, so kind of a legacy loot overhaul. So a couple ideas that I had here. No more lockouts when you're in legacy mode. So when you're done, you just leave and go right back in, whether it's a raid or a mythic dungeon or whatever. The only restriction that there would be one, if you can't do it because you're getting your butt kicked, but the other would be, of course, if you hit the instance limit. So there's like a 10 instance per limit thing per hour, that would stay in, but for the most part, just let people go in and kill stuff. Another idea that I had, because a lot of people have shared different ideas on what and how to revamp legacy loot mode. One example was to create a sort of vendor. Hey, you do some legacy content, you get a legacy currency, you trade in that currency for legacy stuff. And that could be kind of cool. An idea that kind of comes to mind, especially because now that we have a working example with the mega dungeon and quantum drops. And keep in mind, quantum drops, they'll take a look at your transmog collection and it'll give you something that you don't have. So I could imagine different kinds of quantum like gear that might drop at the end of a legacy mode dungeon, and you get this thing, and then you get something that's specific to that dungeon that you don't already have. I think that'd be kind of cool. There would need to be like maybe controls, like, okay, how often should you be able to get this quantum like gear? Is there going to be like a limit at all? Can you only get like one of these a day, a week or so? But I think now that we have quantum gear, we can definitely start moving in that direction, and I think that'd be pretty dope. But yeah, that's just one example. An archaeology overhaul. A lot of people want archaeology back. I kind of don't want it back the way it is, but I'm hoping that with WoW's 20-year anniversary, that we're going to get something pretty cool that lets us, I don't know, dig up 20 years worth of WoW stuff, whether it's old transmog, for example, quantum stuff, or other cool things. I feel like what we've seen in Dragonflight with with the exploring stuff and digging for dirt, I think that kind of like not exactly sets the mood for what might be happening in an archaeology overhaul. But I would like to have like a pretty chill vibe, but not something that feels, I don't know. It just felt like very grindy and very very boring in my opinion. Just going over and triangulating doing whatever it is that we did for archaeology. It didn't feel like fun after a while, and I don't want to go back to the same thing. I want to see some new stuff too. A new Mage Tower challenge and rewards. A lot of people would love to have the old appearances come back, and I don't think that conversation should stop. Keep going until Blizzard gives up and actually does it. But I want to see some new challenges too. Some new challenges, some new rewards to match for that as well. I mean, Drafter need to get something. I don't think they have anything. And then, of course, with other classes. But I'd love to see something that comes in at that level, but it has it in mind that it's not going to be it's not going to be a thing that goes away. Maybe it could be something that's kind of seasonal. Like if the WoW team had the resources, and let's just pretend that they will have something, kind of on the regular, like maybe every couple of patches, or hell, even if they could make it like a seasonal thing where they add in like this new set of gear or a weapon or something that's designed to, feel like this really rewarding thing that you got because, hey, I did this thing during the season, and now here's something I have to celebrate season 2 Mage Tower, something like that. Be neat. Might be FOMO too, so maybe we could try to avoid that. More specializations added to classes. When I was talking with Chad on this, it got pretty wild. So we were talking about common stuff like, okay, druids obviously need more specializations. I'm just kidding. Demon hunters need more specializations. We'd love to see like additional support specs, despite the controversy from top players being like, no, this is terrible, this is terrible. But seeing more specs would be kind of cool. The idea that I had was the possibility of multi-classing. So think of it like this. Say you're a warrior, right? Or no, actually, let's say you're a mage. And you are a mage, you're a fire mage, or an arcane mage, or a frost mage, whatever. But you can kind of multi-class. That is, you can pick up a couple of abilities and maybe attributes from other classes. So what if you're a mage that happens to know a couple of healing spells? Or if you're a mage that happens to know Templar's Verdict or something like that, and you can use a two-handed sword now, or something, or like a big hammer. That would be kind of cool. What if you're a tank class that happens to be able to summon pets, or just have a bigger ranged, a couple of abilities that they could use at range or something like that. I think those would be kind of cool. If we could do something like that, where you have your main class, but you can select 1, 2, I don't know if more should be possible, but you can select a number of classes to subspec as and pick up a couple of abilities from there. Might be neat. Might be terrible. Good luck with the balance, but whatever. We're not focused on that. A new boogeyman to focus on. I'm not exactly talking about a jailer, but I'm talking about a new villain to slowly start building on and propping up. I'm not quite sure how well that would be expressed in a new expansion announcement, because announcing something like the jailer just didn't work out. They were trying to create a villain pretty much out of nowhere. And the WoW team was trying to do that by inserting this villain, the jailer, into the past to kind of rewrite some of Warcraft's history to make it be like, oh, this is why he's threatening, because he's the one that caused all these other things. And unfortunately that didn't work out. My hopes are that we get something new, or we get something a little bit different. And I'm hoping that with like 11.0 in this new announcement that we see like, this void alliance between maybe Ashara and Xalatath and Galakron as this kind of longer term sort of villain, like this League of Villains or something like that. But it's not going to be something that just gets propped up and knocked down in a single expansion. It's going to be something where, they're a continual threat. They become their own sort of like faction or something like that. Be kind of cool. Renewed class quest chains. Think Final Fantasy 14. That's 16, buddy. Fixed. So Final Fantasy 14 has throughout its expansions some really exhaustive quests that have to do entirely with their jobs. So they have like this whole story. It's kind of like what we did in Legion. So let me bring it back to that. It'd be cool to have class quest lines similar to Legion, but like on the regular, kind of like how it's like, okay, here's some faction based quest lines, or here's some Horde and Alliance based quest lines. Sometimes, hey, here's a race based quest line. Let's go back to some class quest lines and really celebrate the kinds of classes that we are. Maybe they don't need to necessarily tie into like the main overarching plot, because that's something that I actually didn't like very much in Legion. I wasn't too fond of the whole idea of, okay, if you want to know the entire Legion story, you need to play through all the classes. That didn't feel right. It'd be cool if they were like very separate stories that had to do with themselves. Maybe not necessarily the main story, but they can be themed a little bit around it, around what's going on in the current expansion, but not necessarily like I have to play it in order to feel like I know what's going on. No, something like that. Race class combos go nuts. Mechanome Demon Hunters, absolutely. Minari Draenei Demon Hunters, sure, why not? I mean, Mechanomes, they sacrificed everything already. Why not sacrifice a little bit more? I'd love to see more of those. It's like a constant ask. And so maybe it wouldn't be feasible to like announce it as like hey, it's all going to happen in the next expansion, but it'd be cool if during the 11.0 announcement that the team made a pledge. They made, they just came out to say, hey, we're going to commit to having to having every combination happen within this. If they presented us with a timeline, because I know that they've already said that they've intended to, but I want to see like a commitment. I want to see like kind of like a roadmap of when all these things are going to happen, because I think that would excite a whole lot of people. Fully dissolving the faction divide is going to happen. It's just a matter of when and for the WoW team to announce it. I think it would be a big WoW moment for them to announce it for their 20th anniversary. Like, hey guys, look at where we started with this faction divide, and it was fun, and it was cool at the time. And now look where we're going. Now we're dissolving this divide. We want players to play together. We want people to team up. And instead of so much focusing on the faction rivalry, we're going to focus more on faction pride and being able to be being proud of the faction that you play as. But when it really comes down to it, we're all fighting the big bad. We're all for Azeroth, and cross-realm guilds and all that stuff. They're going to be fully a thing. Grouping outdoors, all that stuff. Battle pets become a lot more than what they are. So battle pets become companions or bodyguards, or make them part of PvE somehow. This kind of goes back to some other idea that I had the other month or so about bodyguards. So instead of bodyguards, what if we just choose our pets to go out and do stuff with us? And I still want to think to myself, let's have them balanced in such a way that we're not going to have like a favorite pet, as in like, okay, this is the best pet and all the other pets are just literal trash. Let's just have like them like add a little bit to combat, like some minor CC, stuff like that. Something to make it feel cool to bust out like one of our pets, or to, feed them a pet biscuit, make them hella big, because it'd be hella funny. Just to have them like do a little bit of extra damage, just mostly for fun. I think it should be just for fun. Some punks might be like, "No, man, I want that thing to like tank for me in a raid, buddy." But whatevs, dude. We have a lot of pets. Might as well do a little bit more with them. A war mode overhaul. There's a lot that could be done with war mode. I think I've talked about it a little bit, where just more needs to be done. Like right now we have the airdropping of stuff. We have some world quests here and there, but I don't think that's a very efficient, or I don't think it's a very effective way of getting people out and about and just enjoying killing. I've had some ideas in the past. Like instead of just having a assassin kind of buff, that there should be like a daily or a weekly leaderboard of people who just like murdered the most people. And it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't add anything. It would just give you like a temporary title for like a week or so. There could be like a visual leaderboard over on the WoW website, and Raider.io can track that sort of stuff too. And it would just give some visibility to people who just enjoy killing stuff. And it'd be cool if there were more events too, like escort quests, like random PvP events that happen throughout the area, that give like small temporary buffs, little things to make people feel proud to be out there and fighting for their faction or fighting for themselves if they're just reckless and heartless killers. Haha. Subclasses and subspecs. Like I think I just talked about that a little bit earlier. Where again, I was talking about, hey, what if you're a paladin that happens to be able to throw chaos bolts? Okay, maybe not chaos bolts, but what if a paladin can throw down like a warlock portal, or if there's a paladin portal, or what if warriors could pick up a battle res or something like that? Be kind of cool. Class skins were something that took off a couple of years ago. It's the idea of, your class is the same, is the same, but reads very differently. And it's something that I'm kind of skeptic about, but let's just run with it anyway, whatever. So let's say you're a paladin, but you want to be a dark paladin. So you do the work, you get some stuff, and all of a sudden you're a dark paladin. So now instead of Crusader Strike, it's Dark Crusader Strike, or something like that. And all your abilities look different. Maybe you'll sound different, have a different voice. Consecration will just have like a different look and feel to it. Those kinds of things would be like super cool and probably things that they would sell in the shop. Don't do that. Third profession be gathering, professions become secondary professions. So these are two separate ideas. What if in a big announcement, the WoW team decides, hey, we're going to do some more big revamps on professions. Now everyone can be a gatherer. Just like how everyone can fish. Hey, what if everyone can gather herbs? What if everyone can gather ore? What if everyone can skin if they wanted to? And I'm going to, before some people are like, no, that's terrible. Think of it like this. The way I see it, if you can do everything, does that necessarily mean you will do everything? Because not everyone cooks in WoW. Not everyone does fishing, but there are a lot of people that would do it if they, if there are a lot of people that do it. And same thing goes for gathering professions. If they can do it, then they will. It's like, great. Now I don't need to have a gathering alt. I can just do this stuff on my main. And some people will be like, nah, screw that. I want my main to I just use them for this and this and this. Their inventory is already like awful anyway. I'm just going to have a separate character to do it. And that should be fine too. The other idea was to have, maybe to tone it down a little bit and let people have a third primary profession. So if I want to be a blacksmith, an engineer, and a miner, cool. That covers a lot of bases. That helps out. Or, some sort of combination of that. That'd be kind of neat. Separate PvE and PvP skills and balance. Now, one of the biggest complaints that come from PvPers and PvEers is when rebalancing is done, that ends up affecting both camps, even though it's only a problem for one camp. So let's just pretend like let's say let's say Crusader Strike needed to be nerfed because it's too strong in PvP. Well, that ends up inadvertently being a nerf in PvE. Now, I think the WoW team has done better about trying to separate the nerfs and buffs to make them feel separate, but I think we're at a point where we really should just stop caring and just let the balancing be totally redone. And if PvP feels that different, oh well, because PvP already is different from PvE content. So why not just embrace that and let abilities go on their own tangent? And if it becomes really weird, just rename the abilities to something else entirely when it's PvP, if it ends up working differently, and just kind of let I guess let classes start splitting off between those two for the sake of just being able to balance without affecting or without stepping on other people's toes. More battlegrounds. because that'd be worth celebrating too, bro. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen a new battleground. I'd love to have a new war, even if it's another capture the flag sort of thing or another, Arathi Basin. I'd love to have more of those. But we've also had brawls, and some of the brawls have done fine. I think those ought to just be moved into the regular rotation of things. And at the same time, bring in new brawls too. Give us new stuff to try out, experiment, fail, do whatever. Bring back Strand of the Ancients somehow. I don't know. That could be kind of cool. Of course, I can't not talk about an account level system. People want account wide reps, they want account wide currencies, they want account wide gear and everything, if they could get away with it. And I do strongly believe that at some level there should be like this very easy to understand account level system, like a menu or something like that, where we can see all the things that are account wide and everything else is not for whatever reason. But it's something easy to understand that the WoW team can start building on. So it's like, okay, maybe not the legacy reps, but hey, here's this new reputation, and going forward, the game is going to be built around this account level system where new reps are going to sit on this, or maybe they might go back to being character specific. It just really depends on what the reputation is and what the WoW team intends. But just make it very clear and easy to understand. Hey, all the traders tender, all that stuff goes over here. We might have cool things where, okay, so here's like a hub where we could do a bunch of quest content, and all of your characters can contribute to this, and it's all tracked on this account level system. And then when it's done, you get a goodie bag at the end. You get some sort of chest, and then all you have to do is just log on to your different characters, and then boom, there's this chest thing waiting for you. You just open it up, and that's it. Maybe it'll work differently, but just having an easy to understand account level system would be incredibly helpful. I really hope that the team is working on it right now, and that this isn't like some crazy mind-blowing thing that is a total surprise, but like an inevitability, And then I think this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last one. A story mode for new and veteran players across all expansions. Something that I talked about like a little while back. Didn't really expand on, but one thing that I feel like both old and new players need in the World of Warcraft is a cohesive, straight line through the World of Warcraft experience. Because right now we don't have that. And in my opinion, Chromie time is janky. I haven't done it myself, but okay, I have done a little bit of it myself, but I haven't been very satisfied with that experience. I don't think it does a great job of telling a lot of story. So it would be dope if the WoW team put the resources into creating basically an abridged MSQ, an abridged main story quest that goes through every WoW expansion, and a number of dungeons and a number of raids, complete with, like I said, full story, something that makes sense. And even going through the dungeons and raids, make them into like optional solo experiences. I don't want people to feel like they are forced to queue into dungeons in order to complete them. If they can go into like a version of the dungeon where they're escorted by, they have like party NPCs, and then they simulate that sort of experience in the dungeon and the raid, I think that'd be cool. In the end, you get whatever it is that you get from leveling, whatever drops, but then you get like some cool cosmetic stuff in the end. So it's something that everyone can potentially enjoy. And then by the time you're at the end of it, you should be like at the end of, you should be ready to go off to whatever new expansion is coming in. I think that'd be dope. I think that could be a system that they can build on once they have the bones of it put in, and then they start building on it. That'd be dope. There are tons of other ideas that I can think of, things to do with like solo, being able to solo dungeons and raids and so many other things. But I'd love to hear what some of your ideas are, because this is just a little bit. What would be really awesome to hear about in a BlizzCon announcement, especially this coming BlizzCon announcement when there's so much to celebrate with WoW's 10th expansion? I'd love to hear what things you got to say. I want to try to leave the doubt out of it. Like I said, I want this to feel like a very positive sort of video where we just talk about like cool things and stuff and just share cool ideas. And I'd love to hear from you. So please do that. Like the video, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys for the next thing. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, stay breezy.